Welcome to Streets, Sports, and Success with your hosts, Simon and Maurice. Let's go.
What's up? Welcome to another episode of Street Sports and Success. We live from the Beehive. We got Maurice in the house today, and we're gonna lead right in. And we didn't even practice this. We don't know if we're gonna be on the same page or not. But I just want to see purposely on purpose. What do you think we can learn from, and what's your perspective on what's going on with Antonio Brown right now?
Mr. Brown. Yeah, so I didn't want to talk about this because I had a lot of thoughts. You know, obviously everybody is kind of watching what's taking place with him in the public and on social media. You know, social media allows us to put out information a lot quicker than what a news channel would. And when I first started just even seeing or vaguely paying attention to what was going on, the first thing I thought of was that my man's having issues adjusting after the game is over. And it didn't have anything to do from a critical standpoint with his with me criticizing his behavior. I said my man just has a bunch of free time and he just doesn't know what to do with it, right? And so I think the fact that he was let go from sports, or however it happened, be it through contractual or the court case that he was having. Not
only a bunch of free time, but he got a bunch of money.
Yeah.
That's dangerous.
That's very dangerous. And I was like, it just kind of made me think like, man, how many more guys act like, not act like that in private, but just, the game is going, I don't know what to do. They kicked him out of the game, and it wasn't like he left because of injury or through retirement. And are you expressing?
Why do you think they kicked him out of the game? Because he was the best receiver in the game.
He's the best receiver in the game. I ultimately believe that the NFL is a system of like the team means more than the player. And at any point where the player think that he means more than the team, and like most organizations, they say, hey, you don't align with our core beliefs, or you don't have a respect for structure and how we govern our football team, so we have to part ways with you. And so he left the Raiders. No, he left Pittsburgh first. Then he went to the Raiders for some time, and he had different issues there. Then he went to the Patriots, and then I guess the court case from the girl he was dealing with had ended up coming up. And so I think with all that stuff going on, and so on some levels I was empathetic because I got kicked away from the game and people had seen me misbehaving and they didn't realize that I was just expressing myself in different platforms, right? And then it becomes a point to where you have to be responsible and accountable for your behavior. And part of me is like, man, I just wish he has structure around him where somebody respectful can be like, be firm with it. Sometimes when you have money, you don't listen to nobody because you control so much, or people who are around you, you influence them because you pay them in some capacity. So whether you're right or wrong, they don't really have the ability or the firmness to stand up, but you wish you had a father, a brother, somebody
that you respect. You ain't just going to listen to just anybody.
There's I don't care how much money you have, there's somebody who cuts through all that and they don't care nothing about it.
Yep.
Right? And you know that your relationship is outside of money. It's respect. You know what I'm saying? And so you wish that there was somebody that had that presence in his life because it's self-destructive. And so I see some people have opinions on it, and I think your opinion on him is based upon what you have experienced. Mine is a part empathetic, and I wish he had some assistance. And then another part transitions to you have to be responsible as adults. So that's kind of like my initial take on it. I have a lot of thoughts, but that's kind of like where I'm at with it.
I think, from what I've heard, I think when he was with the Steelers, there was a lot of things that were underlying that would happen, but just never get outside of the locker room. That was able.
This is obvious, yes.
Able to be controlled with the team,
Mike Tomlin,
Tomlin and stuff. And then as soon as you get outside of that umbrella, now it's like, all right, this y'all didn't know, but we was keeping this stuff under wraps. In-house and stuff like that. So, I of course, my first reaction is always to be empathetic, as well. Is all right, why is he acting this way? And, I don't know a person that's had that much financial success and success on the football field, how big their ego
That's a lot of money.
has blown up.
It's a lot of money.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
I think what happened, like when you talk about what happened to you when you went to prison, I think what I hear is that, life slowed down because there wasn't a choice. So life slowed down. Mm-hmm. And so you started to read books and develop your character.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And so I think a lot of times people's talent will get them to a place that their character can't keep them.
Yes.
And if your character can't develop at the same rate as the success level that you have, I think it's just only a matter of time for something to happen. And so I think that, I feel for him because I know that I've met him before, and he never struck me as this type of a person. Wasn't arrogant, was cool, took pictures with me, hung out, was talking to me and that, chill, like no issues.
But I'll say this, I still believe he's that same person, right? I still believe he's a decent human being. I tell you what, I'll say this, right? I think Antonio is a good human being. I think AB is the bad part, right? And sometimes when you're performing, you're this character and you become AB, I think that person is he's struggling to get away from, right? So when I left football, right, I missed the admiration. I missed the pats on my back. I missed the everything that came along with that. And so as a result from that, a bunch of self-destructive behavior came in because I was trying to recreate that. So you see him with the music video, right? And people laugh at it, but to me, I looked at that as like, yo, my man's trying to create the environment where people love him or he wants that attention. And so if you've had that attention since, probably played football, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years old, that's probably 20 years of attention during a certain season. Because when I was done with football and I didn't have that, I was trying to recreate it. So I went to the nightclub because I had that same sort of admiration from other people, or that same sort of, oh, he's cool, let me get next to him. And I'm watching what he's doing that. You know what I'm saying? Even when, take this back to when he put the uniform on and he was running routes. You know what I'm saying? He can't let that go, and that's not sitting well with him. And so the behavior then becomes self-destructive. It's just expressing the behavior. But now you have social media, so there's a lot to judge from it. You know what I'm saying? You can take it a step further. Excuse me. You could say the manifestation of words. If you go back, this has to be the spring or the summer he had that sit down in his house. I remember clear as day. So, like, I'm real big on words. And he told the gentleman as he was sitting there, he said,
I don't need football.
I don't need football. Right? So if that's went through your mind, if that's went through your head, if that's came out your mouth, you can profess stuff over your life. He says, I'll be cool. Right? And so you get into the thinking, the brain, into the, like, you've consciously said something, but your life is not set up for you to actually, from a character standpoint, it's not set up for you to manage and govern. And sometimes we become dismissive. My entire life, after I got in trouble my 8th grade year, I stepped into football through Mr. Roland Smith. He got me out of trouble. And so I was always good in football, but I never addressed the behavior of breaking in the house. I never addressed the behavior of stealing a car. I never addressed the behavior of selling drugs. I never addressed that behavior, so that was still Maurice. Now, I still took off and I played football, and I became a great football player.
So that covers that up.
It covers it up. And it delays it because when you're playing football, you don't have to deal with life. You have to deal with conditioning and
busy,
right? But then you're developing athletically. Now, when football's gone, who shows up? This 8th grade kid who was doing all this knucklehead stuff. So then you ask,
haven't developed the other.
Yeah. So you just said it before that. So ask yourself what AB is what we're seeing when you go back. You dig into his story because he's a notable figure. So they're going to keep on digging. At what point did football become dominant, and then what was going on in his life prior to football becoming dominant? And then that's who you're dealing with, but then you have to pull that person up. But now you're trying to pull that person up when he's worth $30, $40, $50 million, right? So then now I don't need to behave because I've already made it. And so now you have to connect the purpose for behaving to something that he plans on doing.
And hopefully it doesn't take a complete crash. Like a complete crash. Like these things that are happening right now, I think are just warning shots of a possible complete crash. Because I don't know how something like this just stops.
Oh, but you know what it does? This is where it cripples him. Now this becomes the reputation to everybody. So be it with a product, be it with a business, be it with a neighbor, be it with anybody, everybody deals with you at this level now. And you don't get a chance. Like, Simon doesn't have to go outside right now and operate and function in a way where he's been doing something belligerent and disrespecting women and doing stuff of that nature. He has to operate with that being his reality. So nobody's talking about anything other than this to try to get out of this space when you should be talking about, hey, you got $20-30 million. If the game stopped, go be an investor, go be a businessman, go be something great to your community. That's the natural progression from an adult standpoint. Yeah. And so all this stuff.
I wonder how much of what's going on is inside. You know, I think a lot, if you're not developed, when things like this happen, I feel like the natural reaction is, we'll just fuck these people.
100%.
Fuck everybody. I don't care what you think of me.
That's what he should.
I don't give a shit.
Yes.
So I'm going to just be me because I can. I got enough money. I don't need anything. I don't care if you catch me on camera doing whatever. Just fuck everybody. You know what I mean? And I think that's a dangerous place to be in. And he's young. You know, to me, he's younger than me.
How old is he?
He's younger than me. You know, he got to be early 30s. You know, I'm 36. He got to be early 30s. I don't know if Giovanni's doing any work back there, wants to pull that up or not.
He's hanging out.
Let us know how old AB is. Wake up back there and let us know. That's your crew anyway, the Steelers. But, you know, I think it says a lot about the Steelers organization, first of all, because even though I'm a Browns fan, I just respect the organization. You know, they just continue to find a way to win. 31 years old, Giovanni said. But how much of that didn't pop off until now? You know what I mean? I just a lot of respect for even the way they've handled the hurt of, okay, Ben went down, next quarterback went down, third string quarterback come up. They still get a better season than the Browns. Browns got
on the third quarterback,
OBJ, first round stud, you know, quarterback, another beast, Landry. I mean, they got everything going on talent wise.
Everything but wins.
Running back, Nick Chubb. I mean, bro,
Hunt beyond them.
And we can't get the wins, but the Steelers, you know, get the wins. It's the umbrella of the organization. You know, I think the team. Yes. You know, Tomlin and the team. You know, they've had 3 coaches or something in the last 50 years.
So you know,
we've had 3 coaches in the last 50 months. Tom was my favorite coach.
You know, I'm a Browns fan, but Tom was he wrote me in prison. So that's the real reason why I'm in love with this dude. This dude wrote me in prison, and I've always respected him for that. And so I can see how he can be a guy just understanding these guys maybe a little bit better than other coaches. And it's not to be dismissive towards them, but he probably had even if A.B. didn't agree with him all the time, I bet you he had some sort of presence or respect for him. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. There had to be something there for all this stuff not to come back out. But I tell you like this, right? So this is what I think. This is 2020 now. I just think that, like myself, I think at some point, like, you know, we used to watch Michael Irvin, you watch Deion Sanders, you watch Terrell Owens, and you watch these guys, Randy Moss. You know, we watch like high-profile, notable people have moments. Myself, you have moments. You know, Ricky Williams, you have moments, and oftentimes your moments are played out in the public because of who you are. And I'll say this to if you're even a young athlete growing up, if you're just a young businessman growing up, oftentimes you put yourself in positions where you have expectations that you don't understand how to govern or navigate. You know what I'm saying? And people need to realize, like, once you have success in life, you're just expected, and you're expected to have a level of responsibility because you're more influential than others. And whether you like it or not, whether you agree with it or not, whether you feel like you just want to go rogue or not, it just is what it is.
It is what it is.
It is what it is. You make more money.
You can't have one without the other.
No. And I'll say this, you know, and this may switch gears a little bit, but success means nothing more than somebody having more responsibility. And so the most successful people, if you really just go down, if you want to talk about the men who have built America. You want to talk about your Warren Buffetts, your Bill Gates, your Steve Jobs, and you look at the level of their business dealings. They are large in nature, but they just have a ton of responsibility. And so when a person is going out here to be successful, they usually look at it through a singular lens. Whereas I'm going to be successful to have these things, and you don't necessarily per se put the, hey, I have like a ton or a shit ton of responsibility. And part of that
and the things are just like dessert. It ain't the real meal. Like a nice car,
they become part
a
of the
nice
game,
house,
yes,
a ring, jewelry, whatever. It's all cool. I mean, you know, I like it.
Yeah,
I like it.
Listen to me, I like it.
But it don't.
It's
that
not
ain't
the
going.
thing.
If you think that's going to be what does it for you and creates this abundance of happiness, it ain't going to work. But if you understand that the happiness in what you need to create is internal, as corny as it sounds, when you understand that, then you can let this. Then you could use it to make you happy because you're helping somebody else, or use it to make you happy because you pay for kids to get shoes for Christmas, or to take your family on a nice vacation somewhere and show them the world. You know, you could use the stuff, the money, to create memories and things that will accentuate and make you more great memories and to make you have more fun. But it ain't gonna. You can't eat dessert all day long. And
it's not the main thing. I'll say this, and I say this on many different platforms, right? I'll have a nice home. I'll have nice cars. I'll have those things, right? In due time, at my own pace, at a pace that I know I can sustain it, right? I don't want to.
That's discipline.
Yes, I don't want to get something and then have to struggle to keep it. I want to play the long game, right? And then your kids end up playing.
I don't even think it would be a struggle for you to keep it at this point. You know what I think it is? Is you understand if I can just keep reinvesting.
Yes.
And not have the pressure of not being able to reinvest all this money back into whatever project I got going on. If I can just hold off, this 200,000 turns into $1 million. If I can just hold off, this 300,000 turns into $4 million, versus spending that and then it doesn't. And not only does it create an expense, but it loses the opportunity to become a couple million.
I tell you this, people, what they call the eighth wonder of the world is compounded interest, and being disciplined to where do you allocate your capital, where do you allocate your profits. And so when people begin to understand that, that's when they begin to play different. I start playing that game, and it's I think, but the play just I start to play that game. But the point of like what I was saying was that I don't want people to think that I don't like nice things or won't get them. And like that isn't a part of what you're doing, because it's okay to want and have and to live luxurious and enjoy what you've done with your dealings. But it sounds corny. It sounds very corny. That can't be the main thing. That can't be the driver. That can't be the motivator. That can't be the pursuit. The pursuit has to be, and we spoke about this downstairs, the pursuit has to be you transforming yourself. Like when you begin to transform yourself, and I say like this, I'm reading a book now, and I've dug in chapters and I reread chapters, but it's The Way of the Superior Man. And the book talks.
I've been digging into it.
Yeah, but it talks
a lot about sex right now.
It talks about the sex, but the nature of it is pursuing the highest part of yourself.
Grabbing that up. She's like, "What you doing?"
Look at
reading this book.
So for those look, the book is about for the listener, right? Right. So I wish I had the book here. So the subtitle talks about sex and it has desires, but what I've gotten from the book from reading it, it has a lot to do about pursuing your highest purpose and pursuing the best parts of yourself, and these are the things that come along with it. And I think that is the guide or the light or the avenue into everybody's happiness, right? Like a thing of money, it will make you momentarily happy, but you developing yourself and pursuing the highest parts of your purpose, your mind, your attitude, your behavior, your relationships with others, all of that stuff, all of that becomes what makes you fulfilled. Like people,
all that stuff takes discipline.
Takes a shit.
Because it ain't fun. No, I mean, people don't want to sit down and read. People hate reading, but I listen to audiobooks.
But I think they'll. So, how much do you enjoy once you read
the result.
The result.
I love it.
How much do you, so that needs to be the thing. And I don't know when reading became uncool.
Delayed gratification.
So have you ever thought about this? And this just came to my mind. How is it that you would read, or what's the deeper part of this? How is it that you would read a timeline on social media all day?
All day. Hours.
From sunup.
Hours.
To sundown, but you won't read a book.
Lack of discipline.
This is
just
fun, think about this.
Easy.
Look at
it. Look at his chest. Look at how much he's benching. You know what I mean? This takes work. Delayed gratification.
It's the same thing though. Look, a person will 6 in the morning, 5 in the morning, whatever you wake up, they will grab that phone. And I don't know them per se, but my daughter, me, my woman, everybody in our household, we grab our phones and we would do social media, but we won't sit down and read a book. And social media, you can grab some stuff from it, but you've had a chance, and that's what I love about books. You've had a chance for somebody to organize, to edit, and put information together to basically help and to assist you. And when you finally function right there, it becomes easy. Even if you don't.
It's the same thing of like, we all know exercising helps you out, makes you healthy, or eating clean,
yes.
And people don't want to do it. You know what I mean? So I think it comes down to doing the shit that you don't feel like doing. Coming back around with the AB thing, I'm not going to backpedal. You know, I feel like if anybody knows me, you know, I'm the first person, and I don't say this to pat myself on the back. I'm just keeping it real. People that know me, my dudes that listen to this, that if you've been in prison and you was my real dog from day one, you know I was there. I was driving to see you. I was helping you out. I was talking to you, spending time with you, getting you books. I mean, I ain't a sellout when it comes to stuff like that. At the same time, I'm going to keep it all the way real with you if I care about you. And I'm going to care about you, and I'm going to help you, but I'm going to keep it all the way real with you. And if I'm keeping it all the way real, my man is acting a fool. I mean, if he was standing here, I'm like, bro, you got to get your shit together. I don't call it expressing yourself, call it whatever you want, bro. You have to get your shit together right now. This is not cool. I don't know what you trying to do, or the crew you're around, or if you smoking too much or drinking too much, or trying to mitigate the stress from drugs and a toxic environment, and it's causing you to, and you're angry on what people are saying, and so your attitude is fuck it or whatever, but you got to stop this shit, bro. Because you're 31 years old. People ain't dying at 50, 60 years old. I mean, you got 50 more years to live on this earth, and you can make an impact on people's lives, starting with your own, in your own family. And we can't create this momentum if we don't stop this. The only way this momentum of negativity is going to stop is either a fucking train wreck, major crash, which is 90% of what happens, or you open your ears and mind, because I bet you, because I seen the dude's heart before. You know what I mean? So there has to be some good people around him that give a shit about him, that are trying to help him, that he might not be listening to. He got to open them ears up, man, and humble himself and listen to these people, and get around not the thickest women, not the chicks with the biggest butt, but get around the dudes in folks in your life with the biggest heart and the biggest minds, and the people that want to protect you, and that could be your offensive line right now and block for you, and keep it all the way real with you, and take that criticism. You know what I mean? Take that direction. So protection.
This is me, right? I asked myself this when you were talking. I said, did the universe create a set of circumstances? Did the universe create a set of circumstances where he's now given the opportunities to develop himself? Right? And so I just really thought about that. Like, so had he went on and kept on playing football, he would have still been that same person. Like, did the universe basically create the dynamics of say, boom, now you got to deal with yourself outside of the game of football? If I look back at myself, and I always reference myself because I just only know my story more than anybody, did the universe, boom, you go ahead and blow it up, go work on yourself in prison. You know what I'm saying? But you could say the universe, you could say God, you could say whatever you want to. However a person wants to do it. Are you where you're at, excuse me, based on your decisions and the world wanting you to address something? And I think if you look at it like that, it's time to address something. You know what I'm saying? Like, at the end of the day, I think I started off more empathetic just because I didn't want to act like I didn't really feel that way. You know, sometimes like it's easier to say to jump on the train and beat somebody up, but it's harder to say like, hey, I know he acted silly, but it's not over for him. You know what I'm saying?
No doubt.
And so, no doubt. I look at my man. He's definitely, you know, the behavior isn't as professional as it should be.
What can a young person learn from this? You know what I mean? If you really keeping it real with your son, and your son's 13, 100%. Let's say he's a good athlete, and you say, look, bro, I want you to learn something from this. What are you teaching him? What are you pulling out of this? Or what are you telling a young kid right now how to learn from this situation?
I think the first place you start is, what do you tell them? I think the first place I would start is it will be easy to talk about or to make a comparison into what character looks like and what character doesn't look like. And I can give an example on the behavior that he showed with the teams that he was with over the last few months. I don't know anything per se about the cases, the cases, the accusations, but I can say, you know, having, you know, interactions with, you know, multiple women and many different platforms, whether you're trying to do something sexual or not, isn't probably the best thing. Like if I say like this, if I had a young son, I wouldn't want my son, he was playing professional sports, I wouldn't want him to have the woman trainer at his house. I wouldn't want him to have the woman trainer in the off season. I wouldn't want him to have all of that because I know how that can come off, or I know the temptation if he has a wife of some sorts. I know what could possibly happen. Of some sorts. Yeah, you know, listen to me. Hey,
you either got a wife or you don't. What do you mean a wife of some sorts?
I guess I'm trying to say it in an easy way. Like,
I got a wife of some sort.
So listen to me. Listen,
Ashley will beat your ass.
Yeah,
what you talking about?
Listen to me. I don't need the woman coming to my house and you know I'm getting halfway naked and she rubbing my leg and something like, you know, I like it too much. You know what I'm saying? You don't need that in your life. You know what I mean? I would say those things. And then also I would say, you know, who do you have? Like when I see him, he's never with anybody who's like, even when he did the thing the other day with his, when he was,
baby, you know, mama.
Man, bro, that's your child's mother. Like everybody knows you have moments where you and your child's mother just, I don't care if you're married, not married, you just have moments where y'all just not seeing eye to eye. Like to go blast this stuff and put it on the internet and be blasting everything out. Yo, you crazy, you tripping, you know what I'm saying? And then now, you know, just, and I will say this, now I have the, excuse me, now your wife has ammunition. Now your wife has ammunition, and not to say that she will, but now if she has custody of the kids and she talks crazy to the kids about you, and it further, with an innocent mind, to further make kids look at you crazy, it just like fractures a relationship. But you put the girl in a bad situation when you blast her on the news or you blast her in front of millions of people who are following you. And we just got to have, like, we have to have more restraint. Like, regardless of what Simon does to me, Simon shouldn't make me get out of my character. You know what I'm saying? And that's kind of where I'm at. Like, you know, you over here and just like the silly stuff, but like, you know, I've done silly stuff and I'm not proud of it. I'm hoping my man can look at this moment, become apologetic to the people who he's affected, and at some point, you know, he becomes a teacher of this stuff. It's just he's the person on the TV right now that everybody's looking at.
Amen. And this is a side of, let me separate the AB conversation and let me talk to the folks out there that are scoring touchdowns right now, whether it's on the football field or in a business situation. If you're having success, I'm telling you, man, if you want to play the odds, this has been my biggest fear, you know, forever is that I've just seen, it's in the Word of God. If that ain't your thing, I've just seen in life, those that humble themselves will be exalted and elevated, and those that exalt themselves will be humbled. I mean, you're going to get humbled by whatever you want to call it, energy of the earth, God, whatever. You're going to have, period. If you don't, I'd rather humble myself. That's the fear. Is like, man, let me just stay in my lane, because I'd rather put myself there, because it takes discipline to stay humble and work, just thinking of yourself less, but I'd rather do it to myself than have somebody else drop me on my head and do it to me.
1,000,000%.
And so I just want to encourage you out there, if you got success is a bad teacher. This is a point after a victory, after a win, after you got momentum in life, you start feeling yourself. This is where people start the downward spiral. The people that stay great stay humble. The people that go to the next level keep working on their craft, keep mastering who they are. And I just want to encourage you, because again, you may keep being great in what you do, but you may not end up happy and great at who you are.
Yes.
And that's where you're going to find eternal happiness. And you may have success being arrogant in business, or success being lacking humility in sports, or whatever. But no matter what comes from that, the medals, the awards, the money, no matter what, you're probably, it's going to hurt relationships around you. You're going to end up miserable. And ultimately, most of the time, you end up paying a price for that. You end up learning that lesson, because life is going to teach you, just like school. If you fail math, you got to take it again. You fail algebra, you got to take it again. Life is going to teach you that same class and make you take it over and over and over and over again until you pass it. And hopefully you just pass it the first time. So for all my gunners out there, all the people with some momentum out there, check yourself before you wreck yourself, and stay humble. Let's get it.
Peace.